What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Dogecoin. This one comes to us at the request of Miss Average Jane. Average Jane, we're doing this one for you. Dogecoin is one of my favorite coins, you guys. I love Dogecoin. I don't think it's time to buy yet. I do think we can go lower, and I want to explain a couple reasons why I think that. But, it is possible we could have found our low already. But if we look at the chart, I just want to say something from like a purely fundamental or maybe an obvious point of view, right? If something was to have, Dogecoin excluded, but if something was to have its biggest bull market that it's ever had, would you expect that it would have the smallest bear market it's ever had, or maybe even something that's average, or something that's maybe even above average of a bear market, something like that? Or would you expect it to have its smallest? Personally, just talking out loud here, if I was trading something that had the biggest bull run in the shortest amount of time that it's ever had, it's just this fantastic growth in a very short amount of time, I would expect that it would have a more dramatic pullback than it's used to, or at least something average on par with what we've seen before. Definitely not something that's shorter or less dramatic than what we've seen before. So here we are at this high. Nope, that was not the high. Here we are at this high, the very first high for Dogecoin, all the way down to the low. That's a 96% drop. Okay. From this next high to the next drop, that was a 93% drop. And I'm pretty sure we've dropped 93% now. Okay, so 93%. Now that fits the bill as far as the overall drop goes, right? If we were to drop 96%, 96.3%, just to put it in perspective, the biggest drop that we've seen so far, which isn't saying much because we've only had a few iterations of this, that would take us below 3 cents, right? That would take us somewhere in between this all-time high here and then this low, not all-time high, this previous cycle high, and then this little wicking low on the monthly basis here. So could we go lower than that? It is possible. Again, with the biggest run up, having one of the more major corrections would make sense, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And it's nice to see that this isn't the shortest, or I should say the smallest drop that we've seen, right? That was here, but it's pretty close. Still pretty close overall. And here we had a pretty small drop, but it was a more methodical bull market, right? A lot more methodical. Here you had a very just straight up, and then you had a bigger drop, the biggest drop we've seen so far from top to bottom. If we look at it from a time perspective, here's where we might see some discrepancies. 16 bars there from top to bottom. From here, top to bottom, we've seen 26 bars. And then on this one, from top to bottom, we've actually seen 13 bars. So the low actually came in 3 months shorter than we've ever seen, coming off of the strongest bull rally we've ever seen, meeting a overall decrease in price. It's toward the minimum of this average, if we had an average between these three drops. Another way to look at this too might be, we've had 16 bars here, 26 bars here. Is it possible that we could be experiencing a longer bear market than we have before to find our low? Here it took 16, here is 26. Could we take maybe 36 bars to do that? Maybe. I want to refer to the Bitcoin halving right now, because the Bitcoin halving, the last halving that we had was in 2020, and it was actually in May of 2020 right here. Dogecoin had its low of this overall bear cycle in March. That was 2 months before the halving. So if anybody's out there thinking, no, the Bitcoin halving's right around the corner, there's no way that the low's not in. Well, 2 months prior to the last halving, we had not yet had our low, and we were moving sideways for quite a long time with lower highs. I'm going to delete all these now. With lower highs. We have lower highs now. I need to do something just real quick. Plug this in so that it doesn't down me. The halving again is in April, so if we were to bottom 2 months before, then that would be February, right? Here we are, basically the middle of October. That would give us something like 3.5, 4 months, something like that, to find potentially a bottom. Could we do that? I think we could. And here we are moving lower. Right now we're at 5 I don't know if that's the right. Let me see here. Let me see. Hold on, real quick. I'm curious. All right, we're up a little bit. Nice. Let's see here. What was I just looking for? Oh, right, the actual price, 5.8. So that is accurate. Sometimes because Bittrex has lower volume, you might see a lagged price or an inaccurate price. It might, close but not quite right to what most exchanges are agreeing to. This would be a more accurate price, but it fits. Here we are below 6 cents. I've been calling for lower lows for months now, you guys. I was calling for lower lows even whenever we were like right before this pump here. You can go back and see my videos from a year ago. I've been calling for it. And yes, we had this big pump, but still it was just another lower high. Lower highs, lower highs. We have this flat base forming. Generally, when you see this kind of formation, I would call this a descending triangle. I really do think it is. And a descending triangle of this magnitude, if we were to measure from the bottom to the top of the triangle, and get a breakout going, maybe I should measure it the other way, right? So that we have the negative, the deficit. If that's the flat point right there, if we were to break out, that could take us, guys, all the way down right around 2 cents. What else is right around 2 cents? Well, if we take this previous all-time high right here, look at that. Literally right there. The last time we had a cycle low was all the way down here, and this was, it was pretty close, not quite there, but if we take this monthly closing basis, it's like we bounced right off that line, right? Now here the monthly close is really close to this wick. Here the monthly close is really far away from this wick. So even, on the green one here, it's a lot further away. I think it is possible that we could go all the way down here. Again, this last low actually did go below its previous all-time high. Could we go below the previous all-time high? Sure, but the measure move for this descending triangle, if this is a descending triangle, would be down here. Now, descending triangles, whenever you break them, they are known for very high velocity moves, because you have this like winding up and this eroding of the base that when it finally gives way, the bottom drops out, and like quite literally the price drops out. We've got, a perfect example is going to Bitcoin and seeing what it did with its descending triangle. You can see it here, right? Descending right here, flat base, and then dropped. It dropped ass, man. And it took 3 months. It took 3 months overall. And we're different circumstances now. This was like the end of the bear market. Arguably, the crypto bear market has ended already, but if we look at this, right, this happened, the bottom for Bitcoin was in December of 2018. Let's see what Dogecoin was doing in December of 2018. That was, again, that was all the way back here. The bear market for Dogecoin was halfway in, right? Maybe not even that, right? The bear market for crypto, arguably, it's arguable to say, because we base it off of Bitcoin, right? Or at least I do. I base it off of Bitcoin. From this low point here, that was November of 2022. Well, November of 2022 would be right here, right? And if that's the case, then that would mean that we're not even halfway done with the this overall bear cycle for Dogecoin. Like I think that, I really think that we have more time to go before we come down to these lows here. Or more time before we found our low for this cycle. I don't know how I'm trying to phrase it, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. I think we can go lower, ultimately, is what I'm saying. And I do think that this is a descending triangle. Here we are sitting at 5.8 cents right now. Love to see it. I do think that we're going to go lower. I do love Dogecoin, but the thing is, guys, I don't own any Dogecoin right now. I don't have any stake in the game at all. I have no skin in this game at all right now. I do have other cryptos. I've been buying other cryptos, but I'm holding off on this one because I want to get back to that point that I was just saying. The bottom for the last cycle happened 2 months before the halving, right? And then what did it do? It didn't go straight up, did it? It went sideways, more or less. You had this nice little wick up here that took you all the way up to like half of a penny, but then you dropped all the way back down to like a quarter of a penny right there, and it basically took you 8 months, over half a year, 8 months, 2/3 of a year before you actually started to take off. And this was after your low, which was 2 months before the halving. So let's put that into perspective here, okay? So if we were to do the same kind of thing, and I don't think the same thing's going to happen at all, but just humor me. So February is 2 months, presumably, before the halving. If it took us 8 months before things really started, and I'm not talking about before it bottoms, right? It's going to bottom somewhere around here between now and between February, I would think. We're going to find our low. And maybe it happens after the halving. That's possible too, but I don't really think so. It's possible, but I would think sometime this year, really, by the end of this year, we're going to see it, if not in the beginning of next year. But if it were to happen the same way, and we 8 months later started to take off, we had some volatility in the mix, whatever, you might not buy the absolute low, right? you might even buy, let's see, from this low to where this low was, you might even buy 78% higher, which doesn't sound great at all, right? But overall, you can still catch a move that is absolutely spectacular. And what can you do with those 8 months? Well, you can look for other projects. You can, literally look for other stocks, other cryptos themselves, stuff to like make you money in the meantime that's going up while Dogecoin is kind of just doing its thing. I remember being this guy back whenever the bull market or the bear market was over for Bitcoin, and one of my friends was like all about Dogecoin, and I just kept giving him shit. I'm like, what's it doing, man? It's not doing anything. And like all these cryptos were going up. Bitcoin Cash was going up. There were, Link was going up. Matic, like there was a lot of Ethereum, obviously, and Bitcoin, obviously, as well. Everything was going up, but Dogecoin was left behind. But then late in the game, toward that, literally in the second half of the bull market, is when Dogecoin shined, and it outshined everything, man. Shiba technically had a bigger overall growth, but Dogecoin just shined, man. And again, this 8 month, this would mean that sometime in October, literally a year from now, is when things would turn up. If you don't think that you can make, and I know, again, here's the theory, right? From bottom to bottom there, that's like an 86%, 78% growth, right? If you don't think that you can basically make a 2x within a year, if you don't think that you can double your money on other assets, or maybe do more than that on other assets, then maybe don't mess around with it. If you want to buy and hold Dogecoin, go ahead. And I personally do have an order set. I have some cash set aside for Dogecoin, and it's dispersed between about 3.7 cents and 3.1 cents personally. That's where I'm buying. I'm not trying to catch the absolute low. Maybe it does go here to this low that I was talking about earlier, right below 2 cents. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't, and that's what, I'm not trying to play the game with it. I just want to get in, but I do think it goes lower. And I've had these buy orders set for months now, and it's a pretty big position for my overall portfolio. I definitely do believe in Dogecoin, and I do want to have some that I've bought personally, but I would say most of my portfolio obviously is not going to be in Dogecoin. I'm going to have it spread out and diversified in other cryptos, other assets that can make me money. And then whenever I cash out on those, take profits, I'm going to put those profits into Dogecoin. Because why? Because it hasn't taken off yet. It hasn't taken off yet. Even if it's up 78, 86, 100% from its low, whatever, I can still catch a fantastic move. And I don't think it's going to be a move like this. I don't think we're going to see a 3 or a 30,000% move from, this relative low to high. We might, but that would be really insane to see. But if we take this, all into account, everything that I've said from top to bottom here, the all-time low from this first all-time high to the current all-time low, the first cycle that we had, or I guess this would technically be the second cycle, right? Or I don't know. First bear cycle, I don't know if this was a full bull cycle or not, but the next high that we had was above this 1618. We take the same idea, we take this high here, and we go to the low here. This next cycle took us above the 1618 again. It actually took us way higher to the 2414. If we take this next top to this low, do the same thing, and here's the deal. If this is the low, that's where the 1618 is. Okay, it's right there below $4, and I mean that. I really do think, guys, that Dogecoin can break $4. I really do. But if this low is not the low and it goes lower, then that 1618 only gets higher. You see, as I move it down, it gets higher. So if the low is deeper, that's only more bullish for Dogecoin. Basing it off of historical references. Let's take away all the indicators real quick. Let's make this chart just like neutral. Look at it. Look at how bullish it is. Just higher lows, higher highs in a steady channel upwards, you guys. This thing could literally drop all the way to like 1 cent and still be fine, right? If we're holding this kind of trajectory, maybe we take it from this low, whatever. You could drop all the way down to like 1.5 cents below this high and still have a higher low. You could even go below that and still have higher lows, overall bullish trajectories. But dropping ass from here, because we have a descending triangle right now, shouldn't be unexpected, and it shouldn't be any reason to be worried about Dogecoin either. I think it's going to do just fine. And I want to touch back on something I was saying earlier, which is that Dogecoin like the Patriots, if you watch football, American football, or the Kansas City Chiefs, Dogecoin performs best in the second half. It's a second half performer. It really is. And what do I mean by that? Let's take Bitcoin and put it on this chart now. BTC, USD, index. I don't know if that was on the same scale. I might have to take that away. Let's see. I need to redo this. Sorry. BTC USD index new price scale. There we go. That's what I want. We're going to logarithmicize it. Okay, so you can see here, we're not going to talk about the halvings. We're going to go from lows to highs here. Okay, so here was the low for Bitcoin, right here. Maybe I should put this on candles first. Maybe I should put this on candles. Style line, we're going to make it candles. Okay. And just so it's not extra confusing, I might move Dogecoin above it and then move Bitcoin below it. That might do, yeah. Because they're obviously different colors. You can see like the different tints, but I want to measure from the bottom, the low here, right there, to the top. Okay. Actually, let's measure, yeah, to the top. So that's 35 bars. Here from the bottom to the top, I guess that first top might be it. We could go to the second top. I mean, that is the cycle top, so I guess the bull market's technically over there. That's another 35 bars. Okay, look at that. Very symmetrical. So with that in mind, looking at Dogecoin, if I can get it right, let me see here. Try and move this down a little bit so you can see the actual price. When did Dogecoin turn up on both of these? We're going to get it right here. Right there. Obviously, right? Yes, it had its low back here, and it just continued to move sideways. It had movements up, movements down, whatever, but it didn't really have a Dogecoin rally like we know it does until here. Let's be real, right? If you look at this overall green market cycle from the low to the, and let's be even more fair. Let's say we can take it to here. Okay, let's call that the low, because I do actually think that was technically a lower low, but the bull market, I guess, arguably really didn't start till here. So let's be real. When did this white line come in? Was it halfway through this whole green spectrum? No, it was basically like 2/3 of the way through. Let's do this again, right? Right whenever it starts to turn up. We could argue that it's this month. We could argue that it's this month. Let's be generous and give it a little bit of an earlier time frame. I think that the bull market started from this low. I really do. The COVID crash, whatever, was a black swan event that we quickly recovered from. I'm not going to count it from back there. I really do think that the bull market started back there, but everybody defines it differently. But looking at it through this kind of scope, again, on this green little spectrum that we have as far as time analysis goes, where does Dogecoin start to turn up again? About 2/3 of the way through it, right? Like well over half. So if we take that same kind of idea, Bitcoin now has found its low like here, and that's arguably the start of the bull market. Let's say that the bull market goes all the way until the end of 2025, because that's what a lot of people are calling for. 38 days, 35 days, 28 days, maybe let's make it a little smaller. Let's do 34 days, 33 days, whatever. Sometime in the end of 2025. Where would Dogecoin, based off of this, start to turn up? Well, if we take it like basically for what it's worth, like right in the middle there, like right there, I can tell you that it's probably not going to turn up until after April of 2024, after the Bitcoin halving, and likely further than that even. It won't turn up really probably till the later half of 2024. Here we are in the later part of 2023 right now. I think we have like well over a year to get things set up for Dogecoin, you guys. So don't feel rushed. Don't feel sad if it goes down. Be happy. There's a lot of time to get your buys in order with this thing. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again. I've been right before. I can be right again too. But nobody's right or wrong 100% of the time. And all I'm doing is pointing out things in the chart and trying to make sense of it. And if it makes sense to you too, cool. You can look at the charts yourself and come to your own conclusions. This is not like me trying to tell anybody what to do with their money. What I'm doing with my money, with Dogecoin, is I have a bag set ready to buy, but it's not at these levels. It's like literally like 35% to 50% lower than these levels. And I'm going to sit on that. And I won't catch the absolute low, probably, with that. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, who knows. But I'm planning on buying below 4 cents, that's for sure. Below 3.7 cents and above 3 cents. Even though I do think it has a decent chance of going below 3 cents. That's personally where I'm buying. And then with the gains that I make over the next probably a year, right? Give or take at least half a year or so. with the gains that I make in other cryptos, I will sell them and put them into Dogecoin while it's taking its sweet time, even if it's up 70%, 80% or whatever. It hasn't really started to turn up yet because we are not even close to halfway through this bull market, right? So that's all I got, man. I mean, as far as the day-to-day stuff goes, I don't know when this drop's going to come. I personally don't. I don't feel comfortable saying that it's going to happen today or tomorrow or the next week or the next month. If we're looking at this descending triangle for what it is, I think we're close. I think we're close, man. We are starting to slip right now. The weekly RSI has been very neutral, but more bearishly posturing now. We got below the 40. We found resistance on it. This is the bearish area of control. When you're below the 40, that's the bearish area of control. When you're literally rejected getting out of it. We haven't been to the overbought zone. We haven't been to the bullish area of control at all. We have no problem going lower. We have lower highs, lower lows. I guess this isn't a lower high, but higher high here, lower high here. That's hidden bearish divergence. I think that the descending triangle that we're in is about to break to the downside. And when that happens, going back to what I said in the very beginning of this video, descending triangles in their nature, inherently, when they break, the floor gives out. And when there's no floor, gravity takes over. You just free fall straight down. Again, I love to compare it. It's not the exact same look, but more or less they don't all perform the same. Anything is possible. Things can be different for sure. But to Bitcoin's descending triangle here, when it finally gave, man. It shit the bed hard. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to find its low, right? 5 or 6 weeks. I don't know. Was that 3, 4, 5 weeks? After like months and months of just moving sideways, more or less, slowly grinding down, holding this base, right? I mean, arguably from all the way back here even. So, but when it happened fast, very, very fast. And let's just, for example, again, 5 weeks. It took 5 weeks to find its low from there. Does Dogecoin have 5 weeks left in its time frame to find a low? Well, I think it does. Taking into consideration that 5 weeks from here would be, if this was the first week, maybe, it'll be a week back, but that would be in November. If last time we found our low 2 months before the halving date, as long as we find our low before February, it's fine, And again, we can find our low even after that. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. This is all maintaining the idea that we're going off of what we've seen historically. And even if you don't buy into anything I've said, let's just look at the chart with fresh eyes and just look at it with nothing on it. This thing loves to move down and then sideways, and then it shows up. When? After halfway through the bull market. It loves to move down and then sideways, and then when does it show up? Over halfway through, likely actually closer to 2/3 of the way through the bull market. It likes to move down. It likes to move sideways. And when does it like to show up? So that's all I got for you guys. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to see more. I love Dogecoin, man. I plan on making a lot of money with this thing. Again, none of this is financial advice, but where I think it's going ultimately, I forgot to mention. I kind of hinted at it, but let's say this drop goes, maybe it doesn't go to this high itself. Maybe it goes a little bit above 2 cents. Let's just say that. Let's be conservative, right? And we go all the way up to this 1618. Look at that. That's at $6.48. How much of a market cap would that be? How much of a market cap? If you guys are still here, you're going to get the bonus info, right? The bullish stuff. Well, there's less than, it's like 5.3 billion that get put out every year. So let's say it's a year from now. Let's add an extra 5 billion to this. So let's say 146, maybe 147. Let's say 147 billion Dogecoins, okay? 147. Let's do this. Google calculator. No calculator. Yeah. 147, is that what we said? 147 billion. 147, we'll treat that like it's billions, okay? Put a B next to it, it's billions. Times a price of $6.48. 6.48. That would give us a $952 billion market cap. Personally, I don't really know if that's possible. I personally don't really know if that's possible. But let's look at some other fibs. I mean, it could happen, but I don't know, man. That's a bit higher than I was thinking. This 1414 here is at $3.16. If we take the same kind of idea, 648, right? $3. Oops, sorry. Three. Let's see. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, 147 billion times $3.16. That gives us a market cap of 464 billion. That's still a lot, you guys. That is still a lot. But I 100% believe that a market cap like that is possible. For a coin that's been around since 2013, it has arguably the most bullish chart in crypto besides Bitcoin. Higher lows, higher highs. It's been through 1, 2, 3 bear markets. No faults, no problems at all. Elon Musk, one of the smartest, richest men in the world, however you feel about him, that's how he is. That's who he is. He supports it. Mark Cuban publicly advocates for it. Vlad Tenev has publicly advocated for it. What other crypto has 3 billionaires that publicly advocate for it? 2 of them, Mark and Elon, both sold merchandise from companies that they own, the Dallas Mavericks and Tesla, for Dogecoin. What, like, how many cryptos? The whole idea behind crypto is that it's implemented in the real world. Here it is, this joke coin that the founder sold all of his coins whenever it started to go up, and now he hates it because he missed this whole Elon Musk pump. It's been around since 2013. It's well into the OG status. It's had no critical problems, no problems at all. It's been able to develop on its own very naturally, I might add. Does a coin like that in crypto deserve a market cap in the multi-hundred billions? I think it does, man. And I don't know. So, I don't know if we're going to get to that just under $1 trillion market cap. A $6 price is a lot, but I think that we can hit $4. I think that we can hit $3. I really do. So, again, very, very bullish on Dogecoin. Just not right now. Not right now. It's not the time. And what's beautiful about it is it gives you time. It gives you so much time, you guys. You might not catch the absolute low if you wait, right? I plan on catching around near the low, and I want to hold on to that bag for sure, but most of the money that I put into Dogecoin, my plan, is going to be after, or like in the second half, probably the third of the bull market. That's the plan. So if you guys like the video, again, I appreciate all the likes. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. That's all I got for you. Take care, be good, and good luck. Good luck to everybody.